All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this evening's admissions information session for the College of Medicine, University of Saskatchewan. And I have with me members of the admission team, Sherry Bukert, Davis Ferrich, Krista Rode. I also have Dr. Helen Shang from the Regina campus, and a few other speakers that will introduce themselves as the evening goes along. Um, so before we start, we'd like to acknowledge that the College of Medicine, operates in the land that's governed by the Treaties 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 10, and we want to honor and respect these treaties. We pay our respect to the First Nation and Métis ancestors of this place and reaffirm our relationship with one another. We commit to move forward in partnership with Indigenous peoples in the spirit of truth and reconciliation. And as we carry on our evening, I want us all to just reflect upon these words and see how we can apply these to our lives on a daily basis. A few uh, housekeeping rules. Please identify yourself and speak up when you have the chance to. Make sure that you're in a place where there's no background noise. Avoid multitasking. And let's try and be courteous and polite with one another. This will be a fun night and we'll be able to educate ourselves. And the chat box will open at the end for you to post your questions if you do not want to ask them directly. So without further ado, I'll just share the agenda with you. We will get a presentation from the U of R Pre-Med Club, the U of S Pre-Med Club, highlights from the Regina campus, admissions director presentation, application process presentation, the Indigenous admissions pathway, prize of a dream, regional learning sites, and hear from some of our medical students as well before we go into the question and answer in the chat box. So I'll hand over to the presenters from the U of R.
Oh, hi everybody. My name is Zaid. I'm joined with my co-president Tahir, and we're both from the U of R Pre-Med Club. So I'm here to talk to you guys about some of the perks that we have about the Pre-Med Club at the U of R and some events that we've hosted previously and some upcoming events as well. So why you should join the Pre-Med Club at the U of R? Well, it's pretty simple. We have kind of grown a community, almost 500 pre-med students, according to our Instagram, and we'd always love to have people connecting with each other, being able to ask questions to both myself and Tar, other senior pre-med students. And another nice thing about the U of R Pre-Med Club is we connect a lot of our students with medical students like that are attending either USask or Calgary, etc. So it's a very nice way to kind of ask questions, gain some insight into how to progress through undergrad as a undergraduate student and trying to do medicine, and how to go about doing medicine in the future. Another thing that we do a lot of is events, and so our events like range from either informal to entertaining. Some of the events that we hold that was kind of more like like informal was last year we had a bowling night, which was very successful and it was very fun for a lot of our members. And Tar will talk a little bit more about some of the events that we've hosted in the past and some events that we've hosted. That's going to be hosted this year as well. Another nice perk about our club is that we have a lot of MCAT books that you can actually rent out for free, just with a little bit of a deposit. But as long as you return the book, you get the deposit back. So hopefully, if you guys are studying for the MCAT and you guys do need a book of any kind for the MCAT, you're more than free to ask us. And we do have a link on our Instagram for a form that you can fill out to register those MCAT books. We also have some special deals that you can sign up for. So once in a while, we do get approached by different companies that, for example, from MMI or for MCAT, that might be able to give you like a special code that might give you a little bit like 10% off somewhere. So perhaps sometimes when we do have that kind of perk, then obviously we try to promote it as best as we can, and that's another reason that way you should join with us. And then of course, as I mentioned earlier, a little bit of guidance, but we obviously try to our best from both our like senior student like point of view and from other medical students to try and guide you throughout med school. And Tara will talk about an event that we just hosted recently about kind of like a guide towards medical school. And then last but not least, a lot of we have a lot of medical school information. So of course, a lot of people ask about stuff for USask, what how like Regina campus and University of Saskatchewan Medical School requirements and stuff like that. But we also have some of the application requirements for outside of U of S, so including U of C, Alberta, all across the country. And so if you need like a nice little area or nice like if you have some questions about how to apply or what requirements are needed outside of USask, then we also have that information with us, and it's also available on our website as well. And so, yeah, that's kind of a couple of reasons why you should join, or what we do at least at the U of R Pre-Med Club. And Tar will talk a little bit about some of the events that we've hosted and are planning to host in the future.
Yeah, so it's pretty early into the semester. It's only been around 3 weeks, but so far we've been present at the orientation where we talked to Faculty of Science students. We also had a pretty successful club fair where we had like a bunch of like Jeopardy games and prizes as well to win, like chips and snacks and stuff like that. And recently, just last Thursday, we had one of our like probably our biggest events and one of the biggest events that U of R Pre-Med Club has done, and it was the Pre-Med Club 25-26 info session. It was completely free and we reached like over max capacity of the room and we had around like 70-75% turnout, which is pretty good for like a free event. And at that event, we talked about things like, for example, undergraduate blueprint in medicine. So what can like first or second years do in their undergrad, talking about like research and extracurriculars and what classes they can take that might help them for the MCAT and stuff like that. And we also had a second part to the event where we brought a medical student who helped us to present the Casper, the applications, as well as MMI and panel interviews. And we also had a Q&A session with the medical student as well. So with this event, what we tried to do was make it catered to like basically everyone, because a lot of the time, a lot of these pre-med events are catered to like first or second years or early years or stuff like that. And there's not a lot for like third or fourth years like myself and Zaid as well. So we also found the events beneficial to ourselves as well when we like saw the medical student presenting. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to make it so that the pre-med club can just be useful for anybody who has like all sorts of issues that um common pre-meds usually face. We also have a lot of events coming in the future, including a mock MMI, which is going to be way more practical than just normal pre-med, just like, events where you're just getting information. So it's going to be like a mock MMI, which we're going to get help from medical students to help us with as well. That's going to be around like November. We'll also have different like fun events. And in the winter semester, we'll also have an MCAT info session as well. For all these events, I would advise you guys to follow the U of R Pre-Med Club Instagram. So if you that's just our tag. And if anybody else from here are from like other places, like other provinces, feel free to like reach out to us if you want to collab on an event or something. We can do like some online things. So yeah, feel free to reach out because we're open to um yeah, working with like other organizations or other clubs to make our events better and give pre-meds more information that they might need. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. We'll go to our next presentation, the U of S Pre-Med Club.
Can you hear me, Cookie?
Yes, we can hear you, Catherine.
Awesome. Thank you so much. My name is Catherine, and I'm here on behalf of the U of S Pre-Med Club as the current president. On behalf of our executive team, we'd like to extend our thanks to the College of Medicine for inviting us to speak today. So today you can expect to learn about what our club does, what we aim to do, as well as some events that we're holding throughout the year. So we are a student group at the University of Saskatchewan, and we have two main goals. Our first one being we aim to connect pre-medical students such as yourselves with other like-minded peers, as well as current medical students. Our second goal is that we aim to reduce knowledge barriers in applying to medicine, as we recognize that not everyone has close contacts in medicine that you can ask questions or ask for advice. So we aim to address these two goals through our various events and initiatives throughout the year, which include our virtual MMI prep, in which you work with other peers and get feedback from current medical students. And we also like to hold information nights on topics such as the MCAT or the general application cycle, in which we invite people who have been through the MCAT or current medical students who've been through the application cycle. We also like to hold socials such as study nights and a formal at the end of the year to celebrate your guys' awesome achievements throughout the year. And we also like to support you in running the MCAT through services such as URL discounts, in which we offer about at least a $10 to $15 discount. Our schedule for this year, you can expect in the next 2 months an annual general meeting for our members, as well as a personal statement information night in which we'll cover how to plan and how to write your personal statement. And in November, we're going to start our virtual MMI practice, again with peers and current medical students, and this will continue into January. We'll also hold a general meeting for members in January, and in February, we're going to have an information night, as well as various social activities. And we'll finish the year strong with a formal, as well as setting you guys up for MCAT season in the spring, such as setting up a group chat for people writing at a similar time as you, as well as a URL discount. Throughout the year, you can also expect things like informative Instagram posts and study nights, as well as we like to highlight opportunities on campus, whether that's from other campus groups or directly from the College of Medicine. If any of this sounds interesting to you, you can join us if you're a Saskatchewan post-secondary student. So there's two parts. There's going to be a Google form, which will be on the next slide. And something that's changed since last year is that we changed our fee from a yearly fee to a one-time fee. So if you are a returning member, you don't need to pay the membership fee. But if you are a first-time member, first of all, welcome. And you can transfer us the money to OSO242@usask.ca. Alternatively, you can pay in cash at an in-person event. We're also super excited to announce that we're recruiting executive members throughout the year. And if any of those roles speak to you, there will be a QR code on the next slide that you can visit for more information. But in general, you can expect about a 2 to 4 hour commitment per week, which includes a 1 hour executive meeting every week. And this will be open until September 30th at midnight, but the general membership will be open all year. So no worries about that. If you're interested in keeping up with us, we have an Instagram at U of S Pre-Med Club, and we're also super excited to announce that we launched a Discord channel, which is open to all pre-medical students, regardless of whether at USask, Regina, or different provinces. And also, by scanning the QR code on the right, you'll find our executive membership recruitment form, as well as our general membership form. If you have any questions, we're always happy to help you guys. You can reach us at uofs.pmc@usssu.ca. Thank you so much for your time today. And again, thank you so much to the College of Medicine. And we look forward to seeing you guys this year. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Catherine. So I'd like to welcome Dr. Chang, and thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for those presentations. You guys are very organized. Awesome. All right. I'm from Regina campus, and so I'm here tonight to try and convince you to come to visit us. We're located in the Regina General Hospital, so instead of the university setting, we're actually in the hospital for the whole 4 years. We do have the whole year 1 to 4 program at this point, residents, medical students, and physicians all working together. Here you can see one of our classes with their traditional backpacks that they receive when they join the college. Other sites that people work in include Wascana Rehab Center and Pasqua Hospital. So you're scattered a little bit around the city as you do your clerkship and some training. Our learning spaces on campus, we have the Health Sciences Learning Center. That's in the basement of the General Hospital. There's clinic rooms, classrooms, exam rooms for working with simulated patients. There's some conference rooms and a computer lab, student lounge. We do have a new anatomy lab that opened up, and it's on the first floor. And this is Natisha Thacker. She's in the anatomy space. I think it was brand new, maybe only 6 months old at that point, so everything's still very shiny. We do have the library, the Health Sciences Library, both through the University of Saskatchewan and also through the Sask Health Authority in the hospital. An auditorium, of course, for the big lectures, and the Dolores Simulation Center is also there for us. There are dedicated call rooms and lounge space for clerks and residents. Here's just a couple of pictures. You can see the people in the Sim Center and one of our mannequins. Lots of locker space and also some tables in one of the classrooms upstairs. Learning environment is very important to us. We have a hospital setting, of course, which is a little bit different than being in the university. Class sizes tend to be a bit smaller just because we are a smaller campus, but there is on-site academic support, student affairs, career advising, and mentoring available to all our students. Our faculty includes practicing physicians. This is Dr. Carson holding up some pelvises, some residents, and other health professionals. Interprofessional education is very important to us, so we have partnerships with Sask Polytechnic and other institutions as well. We are connected to the U of S campus in Saskatoon. Our students learn in person and also virtually, and lectures come from both Regina and Saskatoon, and sometimes even other places than that. The Student Medical Society hosts social events that combine sometimes with both campuses. This weekend we have the white coat ceremony, and I think the Saskatoon students are coming down to Regina for that. Indigenous learning is very important to us as well, and there's an Indigenous experience in the Year 1 curriculum. Regina is Treaty 4 territory. As long as the sun shines, the grass grows, and the river runs. Our students have done well for the MCCQE, the exam. This is our 2024 pass rate. I wasn't able to find 2025, but they also did well there. And in Year 4, we often ask our students how they rate their overall experience, and you can see that there's comparable happiness, I hope, between Regina and Saskatoon students. The Association of Faculties of Medical Colleges in Canada does a graduation quiz every year, and you can see that Regina and Saskatoon students are generally pretty happy too, so compared to the national average. Here's a little quote from our Year 4 Regina students. I'm just going to read it to you. One of the things the medical school is doing really well is fostering an incredible group of faculty. So many of them are genuinely passionate, inspiring, and clearly invested in our learning. It makes such a difference. The range of electives has also been fantastic, with lots of really interesting and unique options that let us explore our interests in a meaningful way. Electives happen in Year 3 and Year 4. You can choose from following specific specialties that you're interested in, or spending more time in family medicine. There's arts and humanities, there's medical leadership and medical education. So lots of different ways to explore what your medical career could look like. The residency match did well. I hate to bring this up because I know people are already freaked out about getting into medical school, but eventually the match comes, and our grads have been doing well. So, and these are all the various different specialties that they've matched to in the past. And we do have residency programs located in Regina. I think dermatology and PM&R, the physical medicine and rehab medicine, are the latest additions, but we also have strong programs in other areas too. So. Regina has research. We have dedicated support for research from our Sask Health Authority partners. Dean's projects, which are medical school projects that you can apply for during Year 1 and Year 2. We had 14 of those in Regina in 2025. And our students at both campuses get involved in medical education research and Indigenous wellness research. The reason there's a cat eating pizza is that in Regina, our research department does a pizza day. So they like to feed you as well as teach you about research. This is just an example of one Dean's project. I had several students that helped work on this, and it's on Spotify. So if you want to check out our podcast, you can. And our students travel all over the world to get to go to places. This is Dr. Croucher, who was supposed to be here with me tonight, and we went to Barcelona not very long ago to present on behalf of U of S and Regina campus. So I don't have a picture of that, so I won't show it, but the dean does come down and visit us as well, as do a lot of the senior leadership team, and our whole admissions team was down a couple of weeks ago, so we were very glad to have visits from them too. This was White Coat Ceremony in 2023, and this year's ceremony is in Regina this weekend. Here's some students having fun. And we do an art showcase. If you're in Regina until September 26th, you can see our artwork displayed at the Neil Bockwell Civic Arts Center. It's free, you can just walk in, and it'll be up there until I take it down on the 28th. So our students and some faculty and staff all submitted some art for the showcase. So anyway, we hope you make the right decision. We hope to see you soon. Thanks, everybody. I won't be staying around for the whole meeting, but I'm very glad that you're all interested in the U of S. Back to you, Dr. Lespka.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chan. Okay. Where's my PowerPoint? I hope it's the right one. right. All right. Thank you very much once again. And so, why study medicine at the USask? That is what we are going to talk about over the next few minutes. And the College of Medicine in Saskatchewan is the only medical school, and the medical program will expose you at one point or time in your 4 years here to uh, most of the areas in Saskatchewan. So we have a presence in the far north and in the deep south. We have two major campuses, one in Regina and one in Saskatoon, and we have training sites in PA and some other smaller communities as well. We are a unique uh, university, and we are proud of what we do. We are the first college with an indigenous health department, so we have a strong focus on indigenous health. We also have a global health certificate that year one medical uh, students can participate in if they are interested in learning how to work in marginalized, underserved communities. We also have an MD grad pathway where you can, during the course of your medical training, off-ramp to do an MBA or grad studies of your interest. We do have our students that are active and organized. We have the Sassonic group or club where they focus on clinical ultrasonography. We have the Search, Students Energy in Action in Regina for Community Health, as well as the Switch, which is a wellness initiative towards community health. So if you study here, you'll have an opportunity to engage with your peers in impacting the community. Oh, sorry, So here are some of our students having fun during the course of their training. So medical school can be fun, even though, yes, it's a lot of hard work. So the MD program is a 4-year program. You start your year 1 and 2 either in Saskatoon or Regina. You have the option of studying, choosing Regina or Saskatoon with 68 seats in Saskatoon and 40 in Regina. In year 3, you have the opportunity of going to sites outside of Saskatoon and Regina. So we have training sites in Prince Albert, La Ronge, Melfort, Meadow Lake, Estevan, Swift Current for now. And this is something that we are growing, and some new sites will be opening soon. And year 4, you will then have the opportunity to go for your elective in preparation for your residency. So to become a student in our program, you must have a 4-year university degree and must have an academic average of at least 80%. We expect you to have done an Indigenous Studies prerequisite, and the accredited or acceptable courses are listed on our website, and you will have challenged your MCAT and scored above the minimum requirement that we've stated in our app doc. But it's not only academics. We are interested in people with personal factors that tend to contribute to successful medical practice and not just studying to become a doctor. So you will have to have done well in your CASPA, multiple mini interview, panel interview or Indigenous conversation circle. If you are an Indigenous candidate, we will do your reference checks and also ensure that we evaluate you for any possible misconduct. So that will be done. Again, the aim is to ensure that we have admitted students who have what it takes to become professional doctors that will treat our patients in our province. The Indigenous Studies prerequisite is something that is about 2 years old now. By the application deadline, we expect that you will have completed that course or certificate, and it must be listed. It must be one of those listed on the approved list of courses found on our admissions website. If you've done something that is not on the site, please make sure that you communicate with us so that we can evaluate it to see that it is equivalent to what we expect from our applicants. I did mention that you will need to have done your MCAT. The earliest accepted scores are from January 2021 for this 2025 application cycle. Applicants will require a minimum of 492 with a minimum in each of the sections of 123. We will accept one section at 122 as long as your total score is 492. And some recommended courses that will help you with your MCAT include your biochemistry, chemistry, biology, physics, English, stats, psychology, and sociology. So I'm sure you must have heard a lot about CASPER. CASPER is a situational judgment test that we still use here in the University of Saskatchewan, and even in our postgraduate postgraduate education, it's also used there. It's a situational judgment test that assesses how you will act in a realistic but hypothetical scenario. And what we are looking at is the ability to communicate well, to demonstrate empathy, ethics, equity, collaborate with your other co-workers or colleagues. We are assessing your motivation, your problem-solving skills, professionalism, resilience, and self-awareness. If you want more information, please review that on the CASPER website. Multiple mini interview is also another interview that assesses qualities that we think will make you become a well-rounded medical professional. So again, professionalism, communication, scholarly attitude, collaboration, advocacy, and leadership. We have our MMI sessions done online, virtually using the Kira platform. So please be mindful of that. Make sure that you have a system that is compatible and able to work well for your interview. You will face multiple scenarios, and you have at least six opportunities to demonstrate these skills as you challenge the questions. For non-Indigenous candidates, you will then proceed to the panel interview, and this is an opportunity for you as a candidate to talk about yourself and demonstrate why you are one of the best candidates for us to select. If you are Indigenous, The interview takes the form of a conversation circle where you will meet with members of the indigenous community in our university. And it takes about 45 minutes in your session to demonstrate your skills and talk about yourself. This usually is done in person, but can be held virtually as well. You just need to let us know if you would like to go for the virtual option, and there are limited spaces for that. So we are very interested in professionalism and academic consistency. Professionalism is very, very important in medicine. We want candidates who are respectful and honest. And in your interaction with the admissions office, we would like you to communicate and interact with us and be upfront with us if you have any issues or concerns. Not declaring information will cost you more than if you declared, and we are able to investigate and understand the circumstances that do lead to those kind of concerns. So please, we take this very seriously, and we do validate your documents that you send to us. A review is carried out to check for any academic or non-academic misconduct. So if you do know of any, please just let us know ahead of time so that we do not find out from your institution. The admissions committee considers academic consistency when files are reviewed, and we pay a lot of emphasis on work that you have done recently. In determining whether you qualify for or you'll be invited for the MMI, we look at your CASPA score, your MCAT, your UAA, the Saskatchewan Rural Connectedness Index, and DSAP Index, if applicable, are also considered at this stage. The last two indices are considered throughout the entire application process. Moving to the panel interview, we weight your academic average and your MMI performance equally. And after the interview, in ranking you for admissions, we weigh your MMI and panel interview higher than the academic average. So very important that you focus on your performance in the MMI as well as the panel interview. And like I did say, the Saskatchewan Rural Connectedness Index and the DSAP Index will be applied throughout the entire process. We have 4 streams in our admission for this coming cycle. The general admission pool, the Indigenous admission circle, diversity and social accountability admissions program, and the newly introduced Black student admissions pathway. We have a total of 108 seats right now. 20 of those seats are dedicated for the Indigenous admission cycle. 7 seats are dedicated for the DSAP program. All applicants must be Canadian citizens and or permanent residents of Canada. So in our program, we value diversity, and so we want to ensure that we have a class that is diverse and representative of the population that we serve, and enrich the learning opportunities that you have during the course of your program. The DSAP index is applied, like I said, at every stage of the application cycle, and is based on multiple different predetermined factors that have created barriers to medical education for people that fall into that category. The Black Student Admissions Pathway is a new cycle, is new to this cycle, and there are no dedicated seats as mentioned. It gives opportunity to Black students to go through admissions process without any potential bias. As stated, there are no seats allocated to this pathway. So this is what our admission cycle time line looks like. As you all know, the application process was opened on August 1st and closes on October 1st, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. So the last MCAT accepted on August 29. That deadline is gone. The last CASPA, September 11, that is done. So we are looking at applications coming in before the end of August 1. We expect all your supplemental documents to be in October 15, and MMI will happen over the weekend of January 31, February 1, January 31, February 1, 2026. So just be mindful of that transition between the months, and then a panel interview, March 21, 2026, and the first round of offers will start May 2026. So I'll hand over to Cheryl Buchert to talk about the application for admission.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining. Our application is currently open, and the application deadline is fast approaching. So as previously mentioned, the application closes on October 1st at 11:59 p.m. No late applications will be accepted. So you have to have your application submitted and the deposit paid by that deadline. You also need to have distributed your CASPER score to our school and released your MCAT to us as well by that October 1st deadline. We have lots of applicant information on our website. If you go to the applicant information, you will want to read that thoroughly from front cover to back cover. You will also have to attest that you've read and understood it when you start your application form. So make sure that you've gone through and that you are well informed before you start your application. There's also some FAQs on there that might help you to answer some of your questions. So there's our website. If you go to that website, you will find the app doc posted there. So once you've read the app doc and you're ready, you can start your application. And to do that, you need to go on to into the USask application system. And that's the link there to get you in. If you don't already have an account created, you'll create an account and then go on and complete your application for the MD program. And this is just a screenshot to that what you'll see when you go in to that link. As first, you'll just create your account, and then it'll prompt you through to the application. And there's just a couple more, or one or two more screenshots here. Yeah, well, just so you kind of know what you're going to expect to see. It's quite easy to follow through. and then it'll put you into the application. So you can start your application at any time now that it's open, and you can save it and return to it at any time. If you need to go away and check something or find some more information, just make sure that you do return to it and complete it and pay the deposit, submit it and pay the deposit by the application deadline. Even if you've started and you have an application partly completed, we cannot accept that unless it's completed by the deadline. Once you've gone through and you've completed all of the various sections, you'll need to go and you'll click, it'll say preview before submission, the circle part there. That will flag you to any parts that are not completed, that need to be completed. And it's also gives you an opportunity to go back through your application and review each of your responses. You want to make sure that the system hasn't auto-populated in a response from maybe if you've applied in a previous year and you have some updated information. Just make sure that everything is in there as you want it, because you're going into medicine and we want to see that you have attention to detail, and we don't want mistakes to be made in the application. So this is your chance to go through and really review it and make it so it's all correct before you submit it. And then once you've submitted it, it will give you the pay page. If you are someone who applied to our Price of a Dream program and you were awarded a application fee waiver, this is where you would put your code in for that, and then click apply, and it will it'll calculate it through there. But yes, make sure that you do see this page and that you do proceed and make your payment, because we wouldn't want you to miss doing that. Once you have made your payment, submitted your application and made your payment, you will receive a notice that the application fee has been received. You'll receive an email that will thank you for your application, and it'll also provide you with a few more instructions on what next, what you need to do. The deadline to submit your supplemental items is October 15th. And you won't, when you're going through and filling out your application, you won't get prompted to upload those supplemental items at that time. You only get the supplemental item list after you've submitted your application and paid the fee. Any of the supplemental items that miss the deadline that's noted on there for each of the items will not be considered. We do not accept late submissions of supplemental items. So supplemental items can be things like your high school transcript, your transcripts from your post-secondary education. If you need to submit your permanent resident proof, you will need to submit a statement related to any background questions that you answer yes to. And there's also your personal statement that you'll need to write and submit that. Make sure that the personal statement that you are reading the instructions and following very closely to the format that we've requested that to be submitted in as well. If you are wishing to apply through the new Black Student Admission Pathway, there is an essay related to that. And so you'll need to indicate that on your application that you wish to be considered through the new pathway. And then that will, then the system will give you a supplemental item to upload your essay. We also require that your proof of Indigenous Studies certificate is submitted. If you've taken an Indigenous Studies course and it's listed on your transcript, there's a part in the application where you would list that course and where you took it from, and then we'll find it on the transcript when you have all your supplemental items in. But if you did take one of the two approved certificate courses, whether it's through the U of A or the U of S, those two courses, then you will get a supplemental item to upload that certificate. You also will need to submit your documentation to the Indigenous Truth Policy if you are wishing to apply through the Indigenous admissions pathway. Again, the deadline for the supplemental items is October 15th at 11:59 p.m. and no late supplemental items will be accepted. Also, I want to mention that if you submit items such as your personal statement, your BSAP essay, those sorts of things, once they're submitted, they're submitted. We do not, even if it's before the deadline, we don't change out items for you. That's why it's important for you to review your application very carefully and make sure that you are submitting the absolute copy that you want to. So yeah, only after you submit your application and pay your fee will you be asked to submit your supplemental items. So I know sometimes students are a little worried, they're going through their application, it's not prompting them to maybe upload a transcript at that time when they're entering their institutions or that sort of thing. Don't worry about it, just continue through, complete the application, and then it'll prompt you after. You will also be required throughout the application cycle. There may be a request come to you to upload additional items. Once you get invited to the MMI, we ask for references. That's when they get asked for at that time. Also, we may be requesting documentation to validate your responses on your Saskatchewan rural connectedness or your DSAP claim. So be watching for those. They will have a deadline of what we're requiring from you and when it needs to be submitted. And it's usually quite a tight turnaround time because we're going through the file review process. So make sure you're checking your email regularly and paying attention to what we've asked and the deadline we've given. If you are both with your Sask connectedness, rural connectedness, and your DSAP, if you've answered a question yes, then be prepared to supply documentation to validate that response. It's better if you can get that stuff collected up ahead of time so that when we do ask for it, you're prepared to hand it over in a short time frame. And watch your application. There will be, there'll be invitations to the different interviews and things like that. So we don't want you to be missing those. So make sure you keep checking it. Next slide, please. So yes, we've passed the Casper deadline. That the last available writing of Casper was the September 11th writing. Make sure that you've got your Casper score distributed to our school, and you can go onto the Acuity Insights site, and that's where you would fill out to have your score distributed. Our office has started to check some of the Casper scores, but we will be doing the bulk of those after the application closes. So at any time sort of between now and the end of November, closer to December, I guess, you may see your Casper score get marked as received. Don't worry about it. I know we've been receiving some emails where people are wanting confirmation of the Casper score having been received. We won't be confirming that. If you go on the Casper site, it will provide you with a report that shows that your score has been distributed, the date it was distributed, and to which program. So that's your proof that you've done it. So just please be patient. We have a lot of applications to work through. Same with the MCAT. The last writing that we would accept for this year that writing has passed, and that was August 29th, and the earliest writing that we would have accepted for this application cycle is January of 2021. We look for the best test score at one sitting, and you will be completing that and filling that out on your application. If you don't have your test scores back just yet, please be patient and wait for the scores to arrive before you submit your application. With the test that we chose as the last available test that we would consider, AAMC has said that they will have the scores back to you. So you will have your score before our application closes. Make sure that what you're entering is accurate. Again, we look for accuracy, and we will be verifying all the scores, but you need to fill in what you deem to be your best test score at one sitting. Just if you can just go back there. Scores need to be released to our school between August 1st and October 1st. So if you say you applied last year, yes, we got your MCAT scores last year, but you would need to go in again and release them again to our school this year. So we need them to be within that window of August 1st to October 1st. We will not accept late scores released after the deadline, and we will not accept scores that were released say in July. So that is the window, and that's the only window of scores that we're pulling from the score report. Our office, again, with MCAT scores, same as Casper, we've started to do some review of the MCAT scores, but it's a very slow process, and we're slowly working on it. That will take place right through until December, so please be patient. If you don't see your MCAT score marked as received, we'll get to it if you've sent it. And again, you can go on the MCAT website, and there's a reporting system on there that will confirm that you have released your scores, the date it was released, and to which program. So you can go back in and assure yourself that you've done that. Next slide, please. Before you submit your application, we do ask that you review it very carefully to make sure that everything is accurate in the way you would like it to be. If for some reason there is the need for a change or a correction to the information that you've filled out in your application, then you need to email med.admissions@usask.ca. And again, we won't be replacing essays or personal statements, that sort of thing that's already been uploaded. This is, if you've missed adding in a date or a location, if you're supplying an address, that sort of thing. Next slide, please. Keep logging into your account. I can't stress that enough, just to keep track of things, keep checking your email, and make sure that that email that you've used to create your account with is something that you are checking regularly, because you will have very short turnarounds when we start to request verification information for DSAP or Saskatchewan Connectedness rural claims. Next slide. Great. And so here's our website again. On there, you can find the app doc. Please make sure that before you email us with your question, go back, read the app doc again. Most of the answers to the questions are in there, and just only send your email once. And we have a very, very high volume of emails coming in right now, as you can imagine, with the application coming to a close next week. And we are getting to them as fast as we can. But if we do not respond to your email by the application deadline, you still need to meet the deadline. So we'll try our very best. But again, please try to find the answer yourself in the applicant information document. And there'll be some time afterward, later on in the evening, there will be some time for questions if you have any that I haven't already mentioned. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll be taking over for the Indigenous admissions pathway portion of the evening. I'm filling in for our colleague Valerie Arnaud-Peltier, who is our Senior Lead of Indigenous Initiatives and Programming for the College of Medicine. She's unfortunately not able to join us tonight, but we'll be chatting a little bit about what this pathway is, some of the supports and opportunities available through the pathway, and then how you can kind of get involved during this application cycle or in future applications if that applies to you. So our Indigenous admissions pathway is a support for Indigenous students, First Nations, Métis, and Inuit students can apply through this pathway, and we have up to 20 seats allocated to this pathway every single year. So this is an opportunity for students to apply directly to those pathways if it is applicable to them. And as Dr. Lauspikin mentioned in his portion of the presentation, we do ask that people applying to this pathway have a citizenship or verification piece that they can provide to support their connection. Through the application to this pathway, there's several opportunities that can come up as early as in your undergrad and then throughout the admissions process as well. These two being more at the undergrad level, so those that are kind of in their first to fourth year of university can approach Val regarding the Wakotowin Mentorship Program. This is an opportunity for you to engage with our current medical students, take part in different events throughout the year. That could be a soup and bannock, ribbon skirt making. They've done paint nights. There's a wide variety of events put on. Some of them are hosted and planned by our students, and some of them are hosted by Val's office. But they host a number of these events in our Good Medicine People space on campus at the U of S. And so it's an opportunity for you to come see the space, get to know people in the program, and develop some connections to help support you on your journey. Another opportunity for you is the Pathway Support Awards. This is for students in their second year up to their fourth year of undergrad. And this is an opportunity for you to receive some financial support for your application to medicine. So you can receive up to $5,000 a year for each of those years. So up to $15,000 over the 3-year span. And there's some requirements that we have listed on our Indigenous Admissions Pathway page on our website. I will just share the link in the chat here. And for those watching the recording later, that'll be on our medicine website. You'll go to the students tab, and then you'll go down to the Indigenous Admissions Pathway page. And then about 2/3 of the way down the page, you'll find this award and some other supports that we have available. We have a lot to be proud of at our medical school, as Dr. Lauspikin already mentioned. We have our Department of Indigenous Health and Wellness and our Office of the Vice Dean of Indigenous Health. We have Dr. Veronica McKinney, who works with Northern Medical Services and is integral to many of the electives that our students get to do throughout their upper years. They also provide a number of other supports to the communities in Northern Saskatchewan, which we greatly appreciate. Like I mentioned, we have Dr. Janet Tutusis from who's our Vice Dean of the Department of Indigenous Health and Wellness. And she's been integral to supporting our college right from admissions all the way to the curriculum and other outcomes that we see in our college, and looking at ways to incorporate Indigenous ways of knowing and being into everything that we're doing. We have a Health Science Indigenous Engagement Committee that we are in touch with very frequently. And we also have our USask student group as well, which is our way to kind of keep in touch with our students and make sure that their voices are being heard and have the opportunity to bring concerns forward when they have them. We can also find us out in communities all throughout the year. One of the big events that we take part in is Indigenous Student Experience Day that is hosted at the University of Saskatchewan, typically in April or May. We also go to a number of different community events in different parts of the province, and we also offer some Indigenous health electives for our students to get out into communities as well. So that covers a variety of different communities, Indigenous communities, supports that are in some of the major hospitals around the province as well. Currently, we have 29 First Nations and Métis students in our program. We have more than 24 that are currently in residency programs. And to date, we've had 139 Indigenous physicians graduate from our programs. So we're very proud of these numbers, and we're continuing to work to grow and expand this and make sure that we have a physician population that really matches the population of our province. So now I'll leave you all with the contacts from my colleague Val. Her information's here on screen. She's happy to have you reach out at any time with any questions. You can email her. You can get in touch with her by phone call, and she does have her office listed there as well if you're more of an in-person meeting type of person. She's a very welcoming person and would be happy to meet with you and get to know you and your journey. But with that, we'll now pass it along to, I believe, Abdu, who's going to speak to our Price of a Dream program.
Thank you very much. So my name is Abdu. I'm a second-year medical student here at the University of Saskatchewan. And I did hear a lot of people mention Price of a Dream during talking about the application cycle. So this is a perfect chance to kind of talk more about it and introduce it. So what is Price of a Dream? So what it is, it's a program that was developed by the National Price of a Dream team alongside the AFMC, which stands for the Association of Faculties of Medicine of Canada, and participating universities as well. And if we could just go back quickly to that last slide, the slide just before. So as you know, for this cycle, there's a $150 application fee, and there's also a $75 interview fee as well. With the Price of a Dream program, that fee will be waived for all applicants who meet the criteria. Being granted the fee waiver does not affect your standing in your application process at all. And I think that that's a very important point to be said. How to apply? So on the next slide, it's a very simple process. It's a very quick questionnaire. It opens in the middle of May and then it closes in the middle of July. So that means if you're applying for this cycle, unfortunately, you would have missed the deadline, but that means that for the future cycles, you can apply. And so keep it in mind, especially if you're someone who's thinking of not applying this cycle, but the next cycle as well. This is a great opportunity and something that we want to spread the word about so many people can know about it and take advantage of it, because our goal is to help break down barriers, especially financial ones, in terms of applying to medicine. And that's all I have for this. It's a very quick and nice program that we just want to spread the word about.
Yeah, thanks, Abdu. And then we wanted to give just a quick few minutes for one of our upper year students, Eric Marlowe, to speak about an experience he had last year learning at our SLIC community in Melfort, and just sharing about some of the opportunities that students have to learn in the regional learning communities across the province. So Eric, or whenever you're ready.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm Eric. I am a fourth year medical student, and last year I did the Saskatchewan Longitudinal Integrated Clerkship, more commonly known as SLIC for saving oxygen. But it's a program in third year that is kind of an alternative as you start your clerkship or your clinical years to like the Saskatoon or Regina sites. So I did mine in Melfort. And so basically how it works is in third year, you kind of do these block rotations where you spend 6 weeks kind of immersed in in a service. So it could be 6 weeks of psychiatry, 6 weeks of surgery, and so on and so forth. What this program is you go to a rural center. So for me, that was Melfort, like a city of 5,000 people. And there's not a whole lot of specialists. We have Dr. Yemi, who was very kind and patient and taught me a lot last year. But other than that, we don't have, it's primarily family physicians that run the hospital and kind of service the surrounding community. So basically how it works then is instead of doing those 6 weeks of block learning, you kind of just rotate through everything all at once. So it would mean you had some pretty crazy and pretty cool days. So I remember days where I'd wake up, I'd go around on some inpatients at the hospital. In between patients, somebody would say, "Hey, we're delivering a baby right now. Do you want to be involved?" And I'd be like, "Absolutely, yes." And so I'd go help with the delivery, and then I'd finish off the day with an emergency shift in the afternoon, which was super cool. It was so much fun with an amazing amount of variety in the day, and it always kept me interested. There's a bunch of benefits to this program. The biggest that I found was the preceptors are fantastic. They're kind of stuck with you for a year, so it's in their best interest to make you as good as possible, so you make their jobs as easy as possible. So they provide incredible teaching. You're in a rural site that doesn't take a whole lot of students, so there's less other learners in the area, whereas on core rotations, you might have, so say you're in obstetrics in Regina, you might have 3 to 4 other learners on that rotation with you, as well as like upper years, like fourth years on a rotation, as well as like residents. Whereas in Melfort, I was like, it was myself, another select student, maybe a fourth year that we had, maybe 8 out of the 40 weeks I was there, and then a resident who was often on the same kind of hands-on learning. I got to do some really cool stuff. The physicians were really invested in my learning, which I really appreciated. And I went into fourth year feeling very comfortable with a lot of different things, and I got very good feedback from my electives in fourth year so far. So it's a really cool program. It also helps you experience rural Saskatchewan and what kind of rural communities experience, and like the challenges that are associated with like access to care, access to specialist care, different like just kind of socioeconomic backgrounds that are present in these rural communities. So it gives you a lot of perspective, and it's something like going rural is something I think everybody should do at one point, just to experience it. But it was really, really cool to spend that year immersed in the community. And one last nice thing as well, it's the program is funded by the college. So one thing that I got that nobody else got, that was doing the core rotations, is I got housing paid for a year when I moved out there, which was super nice, because when being a medical student is not cheap. So just another little kind of benefit of the program. But yeah, I cannot speak enough good things about this program. And yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. And I think just to add on one last thing, I think we see a growing number of current students that are considering and looking at these different learning sites and opportunities that are available here. So we strongly recommend those that are entering the program in upcoming years really consider this as an option, and really try and immerse yourself in that rural learning as well. Now I think we'll pass it over to, we have a medical student panel planned, and we have a number of our students joining us tonight, which we greatly appreciate them taking the time. And I think we'll just go through and let them all give a brief few-minute introduction, and then we'll turn it over to our attendees to ask any questions that they might have. So I guess, Daly, would you like to start us off with the introduction?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Daly. I'm a first-year medical student in Saskatoon. I'm originally from North Battleford, and then I came to Saskatoon for my undergrad degree. I actually did my undergrad in music, so I did a Bachelor of Music studying trumpet. And then, yeah, I'm here for med school now.
Awesome. Thanks, Daly. And do we have Anna online as well?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Anna. I am a first-year medical student at the Regina campus. And I was born and raised in Ukraine, moved to Canada when I was 14. And so I did my high school and undergrad at the U of S. I did biomedical sciences. And then, yeah, I ended up being in Regina, which I am very, very grateful for and very excited. So if you guys have any questions, let me know.
Thank you. Next up, we have Vadahi.
Hi, everyone. My name is Vadahi. Nice to meet all of you. I did my undergrad here in bioinformatics, and then I did my master's at McGill in epidemiology, and happy to be back home here and happy to answer any questions you have today.
Awesome. Next up, we have Tamara.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tamara. I'm a second-year student at the Regina campus. Little bit about my journey. I did undergrad at the U of R, then did pharmacy for 4 years, and then deferred a year to finish that, and then now studying here at the Regina campus. So happy to answer any questions as well.
Fantastic. And last we have Tyler.
Hey everyone, yeah, I'm Tyler. I grew up in, yep, that's working. Grew up in Weyburn, did my undergrad in Edmonton in kinesiology, had 2 years off, just worked in Saskatoon for those 2 years, and then applied and did all of my schooling in Regina for medical school. Yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. And we do still have Eric and Abdu on as well. Did you guys want to add anything else about your background and journey to medicine so far? I guess Abdu, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so I did my undergrad here at USask, and then now I'm also on the on Saskatoon campus, and I did my degree in accounting. So And yeah, second year right now.
Awesome. And
Yeah,
Eric,
for my-
do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I grew up in Star City, which is a small town in the northeast of Saskatchewan. Did my undergrad in kinesiology at USask as well. And I am a second time applicant. So just for anybody that doesn't get in on the first try or is applying for the second time, I would say just go for it because this is like one of the best careers you can do. So just it does happen the second time applicants. All others like sub.
Great. So with that, I think we will open up the chat to any questions for any of our speakers. That can be questions to our admissions team as well. But of course, we do have a number of very knowledgeable students and speakers from our program here that can answer questions about what it's actually like in the program. So we encourage you all to take advantage as well and ask away any questions. So I guess our first question is regarding research and whether it's mandatory. I can say that there's no mandatory requirement for research, but I was wondering, have any of our students done any research in the past? And do you want to speak to maybe how you feel it helped you out in the process?
I can start with this. So I was heavily involved in undergrad research with my bioinformatics degree, like both in my program doing a thesis and then outside of it. And then I went on to do my master's. And I think the key part of this is if you have been involved in research, it's a great thing to talk about in your application because I think that there's a lot of like personal and academic growth that can come from research. But I think the bigger thing is get involved in activities that you feel passionate about that lead to that growth that then you can talk about. And for me, that was research. It was like really core to me becoming, I think, a better student, a better like academic, and it like leads into the clinical academic career path I want to have in medicine. And so it was really pivotal for me in my application.
Awesome.
I can jump in. Personally, have not done a ton of research. I did give it a shot. I didn't really like it. It wasn't really for me. I think if anybody else is in that position, I think it's important to just think about what the research fills in terms of the roles of like your CanMeds roles, for example. So I think it would fall under the scholar role. If you're not interested in doing research or you just feel like you don't want to be a clinician mostly, just find something to add in there in that scholar role. So things like tutoring other students, going to these events where you would join a group and you're teaching various skills or going to conferences and making connections that way as well. I think that'd be just something to think about as well.
Great. Thank you both. We have a few questions more kind of specific to the application, which if it's all right, Krista and Cheryl, maybe I'll get one of you two to kind of jump in on the chat side. Our next question was about tips for preparing for interviews, especially as a first-time applicants. Do any of our students want to take a jump at that one? And particularly for those of you that maybe have done multiple applications, can you talk about how you've maybe adapted what you did the first time and tried to improve upon interviews?
I can start. I also applied 2 times. So the first time I focused a lot on I would record myself saying answers, and which is great, it's helpful, and I would recommend anyone preparing for interviews, especially for the virtual interviews, to practice your eye contact in the camera, for example, and just your mannerisms on screen. However, I wasn't getting much feedback from others. I would highly recommend working in groups. So if you have someone you trust to practice questions with, the second time around, I applied myself and kind of got out of my comfort zone a little bit more. So I joined a couple of Discord groups and was just paired with random students from across Canada that I didn't know personally, but we were kind of in the same boat. And I thought that was really helpful, and it also exposed me to different perspectives. So if you have a group of friends to practice with, that's awesome. But I also would recommend even going further out, a little bit out of your comfort zone to just get more exposure, speak to other students, and just really have that practice of going back and forth with somebody.
I can add to that as well. The way I prepped, how I think actually helped me quite a bit was to start earlier than later. So I didn't wait until I heard if I got the MMIs or the panels. I kind of started prepping like right away in October. With that being said, my prep was kind of like more reflective. So I started reflecting on who I am, what my values are. I started doing a bit of reading for MMIs and doing those types of things. Because once you get that MMI invite, you only have a couple of weeks to prep. So I just kind of wanted to give myself more time, and I think that was quite beneficial for me. And also to add to Tamara's point of prepping with somebody, I had a person who I prepped regularly twice per week, and we kind of kept each other accountable. I didn't know her before. We just kind of met on Zoom, and we're prepping together. So prepping with the group with somebody is also very, very good, very beneficial, and they provide you with a lot of different insights. They can help you understand maybe something that you never noticed about yourself, the way you communicate, and pick up on some of those little things that are quite important.
Yeah, I also did a lot of prep with other people. I guess for me, I prepped a little different for the MMI versus the panel. The MMI, I used a lot of question banks that I found online. There's lots, like I think there's a USask one that has a few examples. There was a UBC one, and just practiced with other people and got feedback. For the panel, I actually found it most helpful to kind of make my own document of some of the common questions that they might ask in a panel interview and kind of type out a bit of an answer and kind of start that reflective process, because a lot of the interview is about reflecting about your experiences, and sometimes it does help to kind of write that down cohesively. Obviously, you don't want to be memorizing answers, but just kind of thinking that through ahead of time.
Can add in one more thing. I agree with everything that's been said already. I would say as well, think about how you're going to organize everything. If you're going to speak for, MMIs specifically, or kind of an odd structure, right? So if you want to get your point across, really have an order that you're going to talk about everything in, helps keep them on track. I'd also say think about things that just kind of are specific to you, right? They're having been an assessor in the MMIs, a lot of people will say similar things, right? And the ones that stick out are the ones that tie it back to themselves personally and really make you remember that person. And then the last thing I'll say is I'm just going to answer this in the chat, but there's a book called Doing Right by Herbert and Rosen. It's about medical ethics. I would highly recommend just reading that and just perusing through it at your leisure. There's always going to be ethics questions. This is a good way of having like a roadmap in your head when you talk about those questions. I just replied to the question in the chat there with the title of the.
Another quick note to add. Sorry, I just thought of one more thing that I use. So speaking of the CanMeds roles, what I kind of did, I had each of my CanMeds role written out, and then I thought of the experiences in my life that kind of represented those CanMeds roles or that helped me to develop those. So going into the interview, you want to make sure that you can just kind of have that mental map in your head and pick out those experiences and talk about how you grew as a communicator or how you grew as a scholar. So I think that can be also very helpful. So look into those CanMed roles.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Our next question was about how many people have applied for the MD program in 2025. Our stats regarding the 2024 application for our first year class will be coming out likely later this week. But we don't have any final numbers since our application hasn't closed for this year, so we don't know exactly what our total is going to be, so that's not something we can release. There's a few more kind of application specific questions. We had a question specifically for Tyler. It was regarding your work experience and 2 years working in the industry and how it would have helped you for your med school application.
Yeah, good question. So my job for those 2 years was as a salesperson, essentially with a technology company, like a startup in Saskatoon. Um, I think it's important because the skills I learned there were transferable. I mean, sales is all talking to people. It's understanding what solutions you have to offer for people who have a problem. Um, and I'm saying it in this way because you can see like medicine is a lot like that, right? If you can imagine yourself as a family doc, you have a lot of things that you can offer people when they have a problem with their health. You have to understand what solution is right for each person, kind of a thing, right? And you're not really like quote unquote selling, right? But like the point is that you have to communicate all of that stuff. So using that as an example, like whatever work experience you have, like even if it was before, a summer job or something like that. As everybody was saying before, for the interviews, like really reflect on like what you've done and just tie it into like how you think that'll help you. You have learned skills up until this point in your life, and those skills are important moving forward. It is cumulative. Life is cumulative, right? There's no just one test and you're done. So just really think about those things, and that's how I kind of tied my experience, and I think that was one of the things that helped me moving forward, and honestly while in medical school as well, right? Just kind of using those experiences.
Thanks, Tyler. And he did have a second piece to his question, which was regarding kind of comparing. I assume he's weighing some options between doing kind of a master's degree or going and getting some of that industry experience. Do you have any insights on that piece as well, or any of our students for that matter?
My quick answer to that, this is just like a personal thing for me. I'd say do whatever you think you'll enjoy more. You'll get more out of it, I think. I don't think there's like a perfect thing. Like people have had all kinds of different backgrounds, right? I think Abdu said he had a accounting background. I have classmates with an engineering background. I was, sales background for 2 years, right? I think the point is that if you like what you're doing, you're going to get more out of it because you're going to ask more questions, you're going to learn more things, you're going to try and make more connections. And if you like it, you'll be able to talk about it a lot better as well. If you didn't enjoy it at all, that's going to be a painful time trying to talk about it. So that's what I would say, just from like a personal note. I don't know if anybody else has any other takes on that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I took a gap year and I worked as a chiropractic assistant. And the reason why I did that was because I knew that I wanted some clinical exposure and I wanted to do something. I wanted to see if I actually like it and if I enjoy it. And I did enjoy it quite a bit. And even now in medicine, I'm using a lot of the different skills that I learned being a chiropractic assistant, doing my clinical skills right now, and it was very beneficial. So yeah, just I agree with Tyler. Do what you think can be beneficial and what you think you might enjoy. Like you only, yeah, hopefully you only have like a year or two before you get into medicine or whatever your plan is. So take advantage of that and do what you like.
Actually,
Yeah.
sorry, I will add one other thing to that. Also, just kind of a personal thing. Like, if you have the option, I would say you'll never go wrong with something that is like public facing. So, like a service type role, like at a retail store, or if you are in a master's position, like try to do some presenting, like try to work on that communication stuff, especially with strangers. It just makes it a lot more comfortable when you're going through everything. Plus, it's preparing for like interviews and stuff like that, in a sense.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Tyler. Thanks, Anna. We had another quick question that I'll just quickly address. So is this whole meeting going to be posted somewhere online? We do post this recording on our admissions page on our website. So I can't guarantee when that will go live, but likely later this week or sometime next week, as soon as we can. Our next question was about the SLIC program. So Eric, I might call on you for this one. This was about how your specific training site was decided, and do you choose, or is it ranked on your preferences, or is there just a kind of a lottery system for it?
Yeah. So it's an application you do at the end of second or first semester of your second year of medical school. It's just like a one page, basically you're just kind of describing like why you're interested in the program, what connections are like you're hoping to experience out of like rural medicine, kind of things that'll help you thrive because like one of the downsides is it's just you and like one other student that are in the same program, so you kind of have to be a pretty big self-starter to get everything done. So kind of just saying that you'd be about that, and then it's just a ranking process. There's 4 sites around the province right now: Melfort, Swift Current, La Ronge, and Meadow Lake, and so you rank like which ones you want in which order. And then the Slick admissions committee kind of decides where they feel people would be at the best fit. And like for myself, like I went to Melfort, and that's 10 minutes from where I grew up, so that obviously came into consideration a little bit, that I would have a strong support system in Melfort. So if you were interested in an area that you might have extra support, that definitely helps. But it also, a lot of my classmates that did these programs were in places where they didn't have a whole lot of family support, and they still had an amazing time because the communities are fantastic as well.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. We got a few more questions about interviews and just some other tips there. First of all, someone asked if the MMIs are going to be virtually and if we're doing any in person this cycle. So all the MMIs will be virtual. We will have the panel interviews and conversation circles that will be hybrid. So there is an opportunity at that stage of the application to come in person and see the university in person and do your interviews that way, if that's your preference, or still joining virtually for those that are out of province and maybe having travel costs to incur and that sort of thing. But we did have a couple questions. Just any other tips from you guys regarding interviews, polishing your interview skills, doing virtual interviews, and the virtual MMI specifically?
I think I had two. One would be, especially being a part of the medical like education student group in this last year and having been on the receiving end of many like MMI and panel preps, you all do amazing things that you're bringing to your med application. And sometimes it's just like taking a pause and a breath to explain what that thing is. Because on the other side, they hear about so many experiences and it's hard to know about like the specifications of each one. So anytime you bring up an experience or an activity or like even a piece of education you've done, like take the time to explain like what it is, where you did it, how long you did it for, and then dive into what it means to you. So when you set that context and the stage up, I think it makes that experience that you've had even more meaningful for the interviewer to hear. And lastly, I think that like reflection piece could not be like stated enough times. Something I did is I made like a chart before going into my MMI and panel, and I just like dumped into it all the things that I'd done in life that I thought like would make me a stronger candidate. And then I like reflected on all the pieces, and then that allowed me to think of, okay, so if I was like going to talk about myself in this aspect, this is one experience I'd bring forward. So that way I could like present the diverse range of experiences that I thought I brought. And so you kind of give each part of your story enough light, but reflect in whatever way. So I used a chart, but use whatever works best for you. But like ensure you leave yourself time to do that. I think it's very important.
Yeah, I agree with that. Also, it's 8 minutes. You don't have to fill all 8 minutes. A longer answer doesn't necessarily mean a better answer, right? So really do that work to reflect on everything with your interview, and like uh, you know, tell your story, really. Um, Rambling on and on won't necessarily just give you more points, right? It's just following that structure, knowing yourself, understanding the question. The other thing is that it can feel a little bit awkward on a computer. I would say like I think somebody had suggested before, like record yourself on your laptop or something like that. Like just do an 8 minute thing. Um, Pick a spot on the screen to stare at so that it doesn't look like you're wandering around like this, just for the interview part of it. And then the other part of it, I would say, is um, the interviewers, they might not all look like they might not be all smiling and looking like they're like engaging with you. It doesn't mean that they're not listening. It just means that they're trying not to, bias you one way or another by like nodding and going, yes, yes, good answer. No, no, bad answer, right? They're not really allowed to do that, right? So just take your time, take that breath, do your thing.
I'll also add, just in terms of the timing of the 8 minutes, don't forget, you can always ask for follow-up questions. Sometimes those can be actually really helpful and a great way to express your ideas in a different way. It might help guide you into further strengthening your answer as well. So if you do end early and don't fill up those 8 minutes rambling, that's okay too. And if there's no follow-up questions, then you can also provide a pretty strong answer within even 6 to 7 minutes. But yeah, use those follow-up questions. I personally really like them, and I thought that it strengthened my answers anyway during the MMI.
And if you do have like a minute to spare, it's okay to just awkwardly stare at each other. I had to do that for one of my sections, and it's fine. Just as Tyler said, you don't want to go rambling around, and it's okay if there's a little bit of free time. Take a sip of water and move on. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with what everybody else has said. I think just remembering to be your genuine self is really important. Like, you're human, they're human too. There's a lot of things to think about and remember, but at the end of the day, you just want to present who you are and show them the things you've done and your perspectives on whatever question you're getting asked. And they all come in with their own unique perspectives, your interviewers. So just be yourself. Remember to they're human too. You're human. Just be genuine.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, guys. Next question was about actually writing the MCAT. We have someone in the chat today that is planning to write the MCAT on this upcoming year and was just asking for any tips for studying for that as well.
I can add a little bit to that. I think there's a lot of great resources, Khan Academy, for example, a lot of free resources as well. I think one thing though that personally really helped me, and I think that people should invest in just so they can have like the best outcome, is the AAMC kind of practice questions. I think there's like 5 of them or 6, I forget. But they're really good. Do those after your kind of your content review, after your practice. They're very reflective on the actual MCAT exam itself. And I think that that's something that, everyone should kind of really focus on, because I think it's just a great resource. So definitely look into that.
Yeah, I would echo that. It's been a while since I wrote the MCAT, but I think it's still the same. I did use Kaplan books. There's a lot of third-party resources just learn concepts, but I would echo the ANC. Like, they have the whole length practice tests, as well as a lot of like just question banks as well that are super, super valuable, and you can use it to review as well. But yeah, there's people use a variety of different study resources. I think the MCAT has like a list of topics on their website as well that I didn't realize was there until after a friend had written it. So I think that'd be super helpful to kind of get an idea as well. But like, yeah, the MCAT's like a mile wide but an inch deep. So um, it's a lot of content to cover. So just covering as much as you can, getting in basic understanding is kind of the
Great, thanks, guys. We got a question about where to find information about rural healthcare practice in Saskatchewan. I know there's quite a bit that becomes available to you guys as students when you're in the program, but is there anywhere for someone that hasn't started in medical school yet that they could learn a little bit more about rural healthcare practice?
Honestly, I feel like the news is doing a pretty good job of covering a lot of that stuff right now. Kind of family medicine and rural healthcare is kind of in a crisis right now, not just in Saskatchewan, but so there's lots of articles from physicians as well as like the news talking about kind of the struggles that people are facing, like feeling overworked, not having the support, and like having just like people that are really sick. So those, I think the news covers a lot of it. If you just type in rural healthcare Saskatchewan, there's going to be a lot of stuff that comes up, even just that. But as for other specific resources, I would say probably not. Yeah, once you get in, it's a lot easier because you get specific talks on this. But yeah, until then, I think the news is probably the best bet.
Yeah, thanks, Eric.
Actually, as well, sorry, just to add
Yeah,
on to what
go
Eric's
ahead.
saying, like reading the news about this stuff is also pretty good for like interview prep. A lot of if you we just had to if you had to just think about what kinds of topics would be on an interview like an MMI where they're trying to understand what you know about Saskatchewan, what you know about healthcare, what you know about Indigenous health, what you know about everything related to the application that you've already been told through this meeting. Um, just think up some scenarios in your head, right? Saskatchewan, think about the population. Um, Try and find topics and you don't have to like scour the news for everything, but just like from here until your interview, just pay attention, find an article. If it sounds interesting, read it. It might stick with you and it might be something that you actually end up talking about or reflecting on.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Tyler. Another question we got regarding interviews is for those that have maybe done the process more than once, what's a way that you've kind of changed your approach to the interview process? And how do you think it kind of helped you in the process?
For myself, I found that the first year I did it, I kind of just answered the questions that are presented. And looking back on it, they didn't really get to know me at all. They just got to see how I answered whatever scenario it was, but I don't think they probably got to see who I was as a person. So the second year, um, I still probably didn't do great, but I practiced with somebody who did really good. And the way she answered her interviews, she brought in stories about like stuff that was very relevant to each of the questions in managing conflict and like kind of just various personal experiences that related to the topic. So every time I worked with her, I was like, wow, you really kind of I could know who you are. And then I tried to kind of emulate that as well and just kind of bring a little bit more of myself. Um, I'm not a very uptight person, I find, for the most part. So I tried to be a little bit more jokey and like still professional, obviously, but a little bit more of myself kind of shine through and try to bring in personal experiences a little bit more.
I'll piggyback on that. I think the first time I did the interview, same thing. I didn't bring too much of my own experiences. So, kind of relating to what Tyler was saying earlier, they didn't really get to know me. Like, after a while, I'm sure my answers sounded very similar to other applicants' answers and likely got diluted throughout the day as they were listening to answers. And then just to my point again, I'll emphasize like practice with people if you can. It's really great to hear other people's perspectives, and it also challenges you. The interview is uncomfortable. You're going to be answering these questions to people that you don't know. So start early, try to engage in these questions and answers with people you don't know early on to get comfortable with being uncomfortable answering these questions.
Yeah, thanks, Tamara. I got another question just regarding MMI questions. Do they test general knowledge or include simulated patients? So our MMI questions cover a broader range of topics and it changes year to year. So there's no kind of guarantee of which kind of areas it'll cover in any given year. But it's good to kind of have a broad understanding of healthcare, of living and working in the province. There's a wide variety of different areas that get covered, and there could be situations about dealing with simulated patients and conflicts in that. But like I said, it changes every single year. I'm not seeing too many other questions. I'm not sure if there's any that I've missed. I guess to our students, do you guys have any other kind of advice or wise words you'd like to pass along to our students that are here listening?
I would just say in general, like your goal is to get into medicine, your goal is to be a doctor, but don't forget that like you're not only treating people in healthcare either, right? So yes, you'll be a doctor. Yes, you'll be helping people from this lens. Um, But remember, like, you're still treating people that have no idea that you might have the farmer who doesn't care about their health care as much until they actually have a concern, right? They don't think about it on a daily basis like you and I might. They don't want to know all the different medications that they're on. They don't care what they do. They said the doctor told me to take it, so I take it because they said it's good for my heart. Um, and the reason I say that is because that to me is always a good reminder of the fact that people your experiences outside of medicine are valuable because when you have a patient encounter, and let's say it's this farmer, and say you have a background in maybe you just grew up on a farm, you now can speak the lingo with the farmer, right? And that's going to mean a lot when it comes to like a therapeutic alliance and all this stuff, right? So really, really, really make sure that you don't discount the fact that the non-medical things are important. They are very important. The college is here to teach you how to be a doctor. It's still on you to remember that you have to be a person as well, right? You got to do it. You got to be well-rounded.
I'll give a bit of a tip for someone who didn't do very well on the MCAT, but still got in. I'd say if you don't do as well as you are wanting to do, it's okay. Like, give yourself some grace. It's a hard test. People rewrite it multiple times. And even if you, again, don't do as well as you wanted to, give it a shot, apply. And there's people look at, how well-rounded you are. So academics is not everything, and put some work into MMI prep and interview prep, and also just have fun with the application process. I know it's kind of crazy to say that, but because it is a stressful period of your life applying to something that you really want to get into. But I personally looked at it in the way of like, okay, I'm learning a lot about myself in that application process as well. I'm reflecting on a lot of experiences, and that's just something that I never really did a lot before. And so, yeah, you're growing as a person in that as well. So, yeah, don't stress a lot, but do put in the work, and one step at a time.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I guess one piece of advice that I would have wished that I had for applying to medicine was just to relax a little bit and to make sure that you still have the things in your life that you love doing. And, the stress isn't going to stop once you get into med school. It's a long career, it's a stressful career, and you have to make sure that you have supports, you have things outside of medicine that you enjoy doing, because you can't make the application your whole life, and you can't it's just a lot of stress to put on yourself to do that. So make sure that you do have things outside of medicine and applying to medicine that you enjoy and that keep you sane during the process.
I guess one last thing I can add just from the, like, I know I kind of said it before, but as a second time applicant, like, I hope everybody here does get in. But I know there's like I think Cheryl put in, like, there's 890 people that applied for 108 spots last year. Um, so like if that day comes and you do find out you don't get in, it might feel like the end of the world, but it really isn't. It sucked to start, and like understandably so. You work your butt off to try to get into this program. But use the opportunity to grow. When that year off, I took on a bunch more leadership experiences. I tried to just get more confident and grow as a person. And it honestly turned out to be like one of the best things that ever happened to me, because I grew a lot as a person. I ended up meeting my future wife, which probably wouldn't have happened if I was in when I got in at the time. But it can be a really big blessing in disguise, and just take it as another opportunity to grow. And if you really think this is for you, then please try, because yeah, it is. Obviously, we're not at that area where we're saying we're attending yet, but it's been an amazing 4 years, and you meet some really fantastic people. So
I think my like last words of advice would be for the personal essay and like really taking that opportunity to share parts of your story that you feel like any other part of the application hasn't touched on. And even like taking those two reflection questions, I think that they're very broad and they have a lot of scope for you to bring yourself in. So like think about your story. And I know that going into this process, there's a lot about statistics, there's a lot of like hearsay. And I think that while all of that's kind of important to take in, don't give those things as much weightage as your dreams and your ambitions, because everyone I think has that unique story. And so like really embracing that and bringing it into the essay, because that's like your way to talk about those things then in the MMI and the panel. And I think that's really like a place to share your story. So think about things that you really want to talk about and haven't had a chance to, and include that in your essay. That really helped me.
Great.
I'll just tag on with what Eric was coming across with, as well as also like a second time applicant, getting in on my second time. And I would say in that time, like, yeah, exactly. It's not the end of the world. But just focus on the things that you can control, right? Do your prep, work hard at whatever you're doing, whether that's a job, whether you're in a master's program, whether you're, whatever you choose to do, it doesn't matter. Just do it to the best of your ability. Even if it's something mundane, because that attitude will pay dividends both for the interview process, for the application process, as well as in medicine. There's always more work to do. So if you just put your head down and you do the hard work, everything will get into place.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Yemi, do we have time for maybe one more question, or are we wrapping up right away?
Yeah, maybe one more question. Yeah.
Sure. We did have.
There's something about managing academic schedules and stress. So how do you guys manage your academic schedules and stress? What activities do you guys do to relax?
Speaking from a pre-clerkship perspective, so just doing the in-classroom studying right now. Some weeks are easier than others. Obviously, during exam week, it's a little bit tougher to find time for yourself. However, one thing that's keeping me grounded anyway, throughout first year and going to second year now, is just maintaining my relationships and maintain my relationships with people outside of med as well, from prior to this journey. Just making time for sleep and for the activities that you enjoy. I have taken very well, maybe even a couple nights off per week and some weeks, and very guilt-free. I think at the end of the day, it's really important to remember that you might be used to a 4-month semester. Meanwhile, in med, that extends to 5, almost 6-month semesters, not quite 5 months. But so it's really important not to burn out, and just really scheduling that time for yourself can be really helpful.
Any other
Me?
students want me to talk?
Sorry.
Yeah, any of you?
I was gonna say I love to read and write, and so I like tomorrow said I can make time to do that like almost every night, and then like also like really maintaining those relationships out of med. I think that's been so crucial.
Thank you very much. So thank you everyone for joining. I know there are quite a few questions that we may not have touch based on. Please, again, you can direct those questions to our office using our office email address, and we'll be able to help you out there. Please, as you go through the application document, answer it to the best of your abilities. And again, when it comes to challenging the interviews, you've heard a lot of tips from those who have gone through it before. And the bottom line is being your authentic self and bringing that authentic self to the interview. Again, we all know what it takes to become a medical doctor. If you don't know, it's there on Grey's Anatomy and stuff like that. you know all the CanMed qualities and stuff like that. So those are the kind of things that we want to see. So relax, take take a deep breath, come with a good attitude, be your authentic self, and just talk about yourself, relate yourself, your experience to the questions that you are asked, and be contextual. So and hope for the best. Yes, it's very competitive, but bring your best self to the game and see what happens. So, like I said, if we haven't answered your questions directly, please email the office and we'll try and address that for you. Thank you very much, everyone. Cheryl, am I missing anything else?
No, I don't think so. Just remember the application deadline is fast approaching, and make sure you get your applications in and review them before you submit them. Thanks everyone for your time this evening.
Thank you guys for helping out. Good night.